We're not villains. We are heroes. And of course, we are talking My Hero Academia. That was an amazing segue. Everybody has to admit it and accept it.
Not bad.
We are talking My Hero Academia, guys. We are back this Sunday. Talk My Hero. Oh my God, backstage, awesome. We're talking My Hero Academia anime. We're back with episodes 116 and 117 of season 6. First episode 116, One's Justice. A lot happened on this episode. There's lots to talk about. We, as a group, I know we've been waiting for this episode to come back to premiere. And I don't know, guys. Around the table, Mike, One's Justice, Hawk's confrontation with Twice. The truth comes out that he has infiltrated the League of Villains. Talk to us.
It is painful. And it's even more painful here than it was in the manga when we read it initially.
Yes.
And
yes.
that again, it's the anime taking the source material and elevating. We talked about this all the time during our Attack on Titan coverage, right? But the idea of taking that source material, taking the incredible work that Horikoshi did with this moment, and the score, right? The animation, the lighting, like the way that they lit Hawks in that scene is terrifying. I had to bust out the old profile picture in honor of my boy, the number 2 hero.
Well done.
But yeah, like this was an amazing episode of MHA, and Twice has always been one of the best characters, especially on the villain side. But one thing that really, really sticks out in this episode, and something that I really love that they were able to have come across, right, is this idea of him finding his place, finding his purpose, even though it is through villainy and through the paranormal liberation front. Hawks is essentially saying he pities Jin. But I love how Jin's like, you don't need to pity me. I've never been happier in this moment. And he sacrifices himself saving Toga. Well, he was dying anyway, but he does, try and save Toga and Compress at the end. And it's just really moving, man. It's one of the best episodes of the season. And yeah, brilliantly written. And I know I know things take an interesting turn as we get further into this arc. And this has already been an amazing season. This still might be the best episode of the entire season so far. Honestly.
Yeah. There's it has a lot. It has a lot. It has a lot. It was so great. So great. Agreed. Argwinder. Isaac, your thoughts on episode 116, One's Justice?
Well, Twice is a prime example of a nature versus nurture villain kind of deal, and it was an excellent episode for a lot of reasons that Mikey has said. Because my dear Lord, that soundtrack in particular helped out a lot, and yeah. I know that it would be an emotional episode, but I didn't expect it to be that much hard hitting.
I think we're all thinking the same thing. It's like it hit different, right? Different in a good way. Like the beats are there. Like we all knew, like we've all read the book. We all knew this was going to happen. We pretty much knew the conversation. We knew how it was going to go down for the most part, because I don't remember a lot. But I knew the bones of what was going to happen. But this hit hard. It hit hard. Like, especially the name of the episode speaks so truly to what's explored in the episode, because this is a very philosophical episode. The idea of one's justice, the idea of the one thing that defines you and defines what you think is right or wrong, right? That's the idea of justice. Which, again, if you guys want to talk about someone, you guys want to watch a show that's all about the exploration of the meaning of the word justice, watch Death Note. Not only that, you have the best meme. I am justice. So many memes. But the idea that you have Hawks not only as a spy, but now taking the role of assassin for the sake of peace, right? And him kind of talking himself into the fact that I need to do this because if we have two immovable objects that are so clearly focused on different goals, the only way you can win is by killing the other side.
Yeah.
You know, you have Hawks just going through this, like he's kind of preaching to himself, but at the same time talking to the audience, because he's the number 2 hero, and he's outwardly talking about murdering someone for the sake of society and the world, right? But on the other side, Twice is doing what he's doing because to him, defending and protecting those that never turn their back on him is the right thing.
Yeah.
Those dichotomies are so powerful.
But that also, one, shows you the flaw in hero society in this series. And that's why I think Hawks, that's why Hawks is one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. Because you do have that idea of good versus evil. And for so long, My Hero Academia has always painted things as such a broad black and white world.
Yep.
But Jin and now Hawks have always introduced that element of gray, and it leads perfectly into the next episode when we get Shigaraki, and you're reminded of his origin story that we saw last season, and you see these here, like Hawks is doing what he believes is right, but also Hero Society has failed Jin, it has failed Tenko, Shimura, and led them down this path to where it's an endless cycle. Hawks has to kill Twice. Otherwise, evil will reign, but Twice is only evil because Hero Society failed him. And that is a deep and powerful theme that I'm glad we finally get a chance to explore in My Hero, because it was always, all for one is evil, all might is the symbol of peace. And now we're starting to see, it's not that simple. Yeah, exactly. So for the audio listeners, we have a comment here saying, I find it funny that Hawks is the hero, but he's following orders from asshole bosses. And Twice is a villain, but he's doing everything for his friends and family. Yeah, that's exactly what makes this confrontation specifically so interesting. And then you have Dobby just storm in, right? Like, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah. Which also, he's executing his justice, right? What he considers to be his justice and why he's doing what he's doing. And we got to talk about Dobby in a minute, but I like how you mentioned the idea of broad strokes, Mike, and how good and evil has been always very black and white in the way that it's been explored throughout the series of My Hero. But I love how Horikoshi, especially where we're going in the book, right? Introducing this big arc, this war arc, this crisis on Infinite Academia arc, right? Trademark pending. It's they're exploring the flaws of your society, all the gray in between, and all the people hurt because of the gray. And it's really revealing the pillars of society and what actually is holding society together, but also makes for so much interesting and mature conversation, which we never did have before. We're having it now. And this is My Hero Academia going into the corners and spaces that I've been waiting so long for it to get. Because I think we're finally getting to those conversations and topics that were teased and promised in the Stain arc, right?
Yes.
Those in-depth conversations about really what is the right thing to do, what it is to be a hero, what it is to do the right thing. Like, all those things are so interesting and so powerful. But yeah, man, it's just so great. Now, you mentioned Dobby. Dobby just coming in and just, I'm just gonna do whatever I want, right? But what's so powerful, which I think I just want to say this shit between. Oh my god!
That honestly might be the greatest shit name of all time.
Okay, guys. So
But also, like, I just want to take a second and be like, hey, My Hero fandom, slow down on all the ships, please.
Please.
You got too many ships in this dang fandom, guys.
Yes.
Tone it back. Thank you.
And the funny thing is, Horikoshi's not helping.
No.
What the comment says is, I just want to say the ship between Hawks and Abby is called Hot Wings. I'm not even joking.
Oh, boy. I love how Isaac just listens to our deep conversations and looks for the first opportunity of just breaking the channel.
He's got to let the audio listeners know the chaos that happens and that why they need to join live.
I love what the comments are saying here. MHA fans, never increase ships tenfold. In other words, they're embracing one for all the wrong reasons.
Yes.
So wrong. Now, let's talk about Dabi. He comes out of nowhere.
That takes us to episode 117, right?
No, Dabi's still episode 116. Because I think 117 is all about Shigaraki.
That's what I get for watching these in a row.
Hey, it's no problem. But we're going to go to Shigaraki. Don't worry. There's a lot to talk there, too. But the one thing about Dabi that I love is that we've always known that Dabi looks interesting. He reminds us of characters, blah, blah, blah. But I think his character arc took a huge step forward in this episode. Because now they're setting him up as a villain. Like an actual important figure, right? Like for the longest time, he's been around, but they also kind of use him like a background character, right?
Yeah.
And in this encounter with this offensive encounter of Hawks, this is the first time that we kind of get a glimpse of what Dabi's all about. And like when he literally tells, Hawk, I never trusted you at all. I'm just gonna do what I want. And then he brings back Stain, and you're like, yo. Because if you guys remember, the first time that Dabi was introduced in a visual was right at the arrest of Stain.
Yep.
That they introduced Spinner, they introduced Compress, they introduced Twice, they showed Toga, and they showed Dabi. Like, these are the people that came out of the woodworks because of what Stain did. So I like how that arc, that conversation is kind of leading the pact in what's going to happen forward. And I don't know. I like scary Dabi.
I'm glad you mentioned Stain, and I so love that they finally got a call back to that, right? Because we have, like you said, when we were first introduced, this is going back into season 2 of My Hero Academia, which is at this point a very long time ago.
It's like 70 episodes ago.
Yeah. So we're introduced to him during that Stain arc, but from the get-go, he says, I'm following Stain's ideology, kill the fakes. And I love how that callback is here where he says kill the fakes.
Right.
And that's why he has a vendetta. Even in the intro, you see him burning Endeavor's poster. He had, much like Stain, views Endeavor and this new generation of heroes as less than. And they don't hold that standard to All Might. Though Mirko, I feel like we all know that she's probably the closest of this group of heroes to Deku and All Might's sacrificial mentality. But I think that's great that we're kind of going back to the roots of Dabi as a character. And then why does he know Hawks' real name? Right? Like, what is up with this guy?
And not only that, to me, that's the most terrifying thing, right? Because it's not just the fact that, listen to this, it's not just the fact that he knows his name. It's the fact that Dabi made the spy freak out.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, this guy that has held his composure as he infiltrated the biggest villain society or sector or paranormal terrorist group, whatever. Like, he's been in undercover for what? A season and a half?
Yeah.
Because I think it was from the end of season 4 to the entirety of season 5, right? He's pretty much been undercover. So he's been undercover all this time.
No.
Will do, sir. Will do. it's so he was able to get him to freak out, not once but twice. Pun intended. But I found that fascinating. Again, another kudos to the direction team, to the editing, and elevating the material and setting up Dobby like this threat.
So,
right?
yeah, I want to, again, like you said, give kudos. You know, I've been rereading this arc as we get through it, like I always do for every season of My Hero.
Overachiever.
There is a panel. Well, this is where it pays off, right? There is a panel.
Yes.
In between the confrontation with Twice and Hawks and Dobby showing up. And there's a panel where you see Dobby like running up the stairs. So it ruins the shock and surprise of him just appearing there. And the anime cut that panel out. So you're just as terrified and surprised as Hawks is in that moment.
Nice.
Which is great direction on their part. They actually removed a panel from the manga to emphasize that fear and terror.
Nice. So good. So good. And I love the idea of them presenting all those things, right?
Yeah.
And just building a better version of the book that's already phenomenal. So I think the biggest thing is I'm just so happy that the anime version of this super powerful, yeah, the anime version of this awesome book paid off so well. I'm just so excited. It was great.
Isaac, you've been kind of quiet, man. What are your thoughts so far?
I mean, these 2 episodes has truly been on fire, and for all the good reasons.
Wow.
Jeez.
What? What?
No, go ahead. Finish your point.
I think they have executed the whole Dobby versus Hawks interaction much better than it was in the manga.
And not only that, to say that Dobby's introduction was so great that we're not even talking how much of a badass Hawks was in this scene, because Dobby just overshadowed Hawks.
Yeah, and like Hawks is
in the best way.
Hawks is still doing the thing, right? Like he gets torched, and I love the conversation he has with Tokoyami about how he overcomes his weakness, right? Just be faster than the other guy.
Yeah.
You can say he flew a little too close to the sun this time, though, because I still love how he didn't give up. He made sure he finished the mission, right?
Yes.
And that Hawks is so fascinating to me because he's less of a hero and he's more of a spy. It's for the mission.
Yes.
He will his priority, his job at this point in the war is just to make sure he takes down Jin. And so even if he dies here at the hands of Dobby, he's like, okay, well, I got to trust Endeavor and the rest to finish out the plan, but I've played my part.
Yeah.
Which is almost the complete opposite of someone like All Might or Deku in a way, because the plan is to save everyone, right? Like they would pull a Takano Jutsu and try and get Twice on their side, not just say there's no chance you walk away from this. You can't do it.
Like All Might and Deku, they're bringing Sasuke back no matter what. Like that's how they're built.
Yes, another Naruto reference. We are undefeated this year, guys.
It was right there. Go Bucks. So now that scene between Twice and Toga, or Twice's Twice double and Toga, was just heartbreaking.
We have a comment here that says Hawks is less of a good person and more of a good soldier, which is totally fair assessment.
Yep, agreed.
But
it's funny that he says that. The comment, that's a great comment, because it sadly illustrates the reality that in times of war, you need good soldiers.
Yeah,
it's like the harsh reality of reality. So it's super interesting that we're able to see this in this world that used to be so pretty. Like we're seeing all those the darkness of it, right?
Remember the sports festival and like the world was just fine and at peace.
It's like if anybody was wondering when my hero was gonna cross into Shippuden, we're there, guys. It's here. It's happened. Now, that moment, Twice in Toga, was so heartbreaking, and I like the idea of good and evil acting as labels, and these characters or people being more than what they seem to be, right? Like everybody still has all those basic wants and needs, and a lot of times what drives them is how they feel it. But that doesn't mean they agree with society, right? Now I'm not saying that everybody needs to become a villain, but I like that we're seeing those things. Like just because you were evil doesn't mean you don't have deep relationships with people, or even though they can be kind of crazy. So, but so great. Are we ready? Are we, Isaac? Anything else on this episode? Are we ready to go to the next one?
I think we can go to the next one.
Let's go to the next one. Mike, kick it off. So next episode is Inheritance. And the first thing I want to mention, about this one is, and I'll pass it over to you, Mike. I love the balance between the A and the B plot. Mm-hmm. The idea, I feel that we're not spending too much time on one battlefield and less on the other. I feel it's being the screen time is being shared enough where I'm enjoying both stories. And I think the cliffhanger and the work that we did with Hawks and Twice literally earned filled me up enough so that I can go to the other side, back to Mirko, and I'm not wanting that other story because it dealt the blow and then I'm moving forward. You know what I mean? Yeah. I like that swap. I think they're doing that very well this season. So we're back with Shigaraki. Go.
Yeah. So just touching on Twice in Toga right quick. I think it's such a great ending. And do you guys notice, right, in the outro that they changed the outro for that episode, which I thought was an incredible touch.
What did they change? Because I took it off. What they changed?
Ooh. So hold on. I'm going to talk through. So we have the outro, and there's a moment where it cuts back, where it cuts to Tomura. And then
we kind of lost you, Mike, for a minute there. Technical difficulties. I think we lost you, Mike.
Do you know when a joke becomes a dad joke?
When a joke becomes a dad joke?
Yes.
I don't. Go ahead.
When it comes apparent.
And that's why. Wow. That is so bad. That is so bad.
What?
Now,
it's just wonderful.
While someone applies the restoration jutsu on Mike, I want to.
What are you laughing at?
You think I'd let something like technical difficulties take me down when I'm talking about lore? So, in the outro, there's a shot of Tomura looking out into the distance. It cuts back to Izuku looking out into the distance, which, again, love the parallels that they're drawing between the two. Yeah. But in this specific episode, One's Justice, which is also named after the video game My Hero Academia One's Justice.
I haven't heard a good thing about that, or am I misremembering stuff?
It's another Naruto thing.
Yeah. Horikoshi actually has confirmed that that's why that chapter in this episode is named One's Justice. But they replaced the shot of Shigaraki with a shot of Twice in Toga.
No.
And then it transitions to Toga by herself. And it is heartbreaking.
Yo.
And so go back, watch the end credits of episode 116 if you want to have one final goodbye to Twice and have your heart ripped out of your chest. Because
Twice as fast.
Yeah. twice as fast. Yeah. So here's just a screenshot of it if it loads in. Yeah, there it is.
Yo.
Pain.
You know what, Mike? Why you do this, bro? Like I was ready to move on, and you
Blame
just
Bones.
damn it.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I think. I wonder how many times we're gonna do that this season. There's a lot of different moments where you can tweak the outro because a big thing happens in this war arc. But going into the next episode, Shigaraki. Yeah, I love the balance that we have between the two. I find it, like you said, the A and B plot, right? Cutting between Hawks and Mirako and Endeavor. The only thing that I feel is lacking is Midoriya and the kids. And I think that's, like, I want you guys' take on this. For a show called My Hero Academia, we have not had a lot of the academia characters in this first month of the season.
Yeah.
Do you think it's good that we're focusing on the pro heroes, or do you think we should incorporate the Isaac? Let me finish the full question.
Sorry.
Brandon, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Isaac was already breaking through, so go ahead, Isaac.
No, I just feel like it's going back to what we had talked about earlier. He has implemented so many. How should I put it? Also, yeah, you can't have every academic student everywhere, so it makes sense to have give the spotlight to the pro heroes there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think, again, Naruto rarely, like, aside from the cutting to Sasuke, we never got like a Kakashi and Guy only mission type of deal, you know?
Which is one of the weaknesses with Naruto in my book, but I digress.
Brandon, what are your thoughts, man?
I personally, I don't think we've spent so much time with the pro heroes that I like the time we're spending with them now, because I'm not going to finish my thought in its entirety because I don't want to spoil anything. But I like the time that we're spending with them because we've never seen a pro hero do anything apart from work study situations and the little bit that we got of Fat Gum. Like we in the overhaul arc.
Yeah.
So we really haven't spent time with the pro heroes. And I like the fact that we're not just spending time with the pro heroes. We're seeing the pro hero institution and the inner workings of it in planning this attack against the Kekai Sensei or whatever. I've heard it like 5 times every episode.
Paranormal Liberation Front.
You know what I mean? Like, I was trying to do the Japanese thing and it just didn't work. But I like the fact that we're seeing the organization, the strategicness. Like it feels like it's no longer a kids show. Does that make sense? It gives that weight to it. Because we're not talking about kids that are worried about their own things. We're talking about the adults being worried about this. And then slowly but surely, we're going to see how that affects the kids. Because, for example, little things like what we saw with Tokoyami and like him reminiscing about Hawks, right? Like we're already seeing that connection, right? Of how is what's going on with the adults and pro heroes going to affect the kids. So I like that they're setting all that up to move forward into that. Does that make sense? So that's why I think it's okay, because it would have bothered me more, I would say, if they were not in any battlefield at all. But we know they're involved. So at some point we have to address them because they're already there. So there's no way that you tell a successful story if you don't include them in anything at any point. Does that make sense?
Yeah. This goes back to the strength of anime versus manga, because remember, they're adapting roughly 3 chapters an episode.
Yeah.
So can you imagine? And manga readers kind of got this feeling fairly recently, but can you imagine going this long without seeing Deku do anything? Because I want to remind you guys, a lot of these scenes, these like evacuation scenes throughout the anime, this season are added. That's Bones reminding you what the kids are doing right now. That is not in the manga.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Maybe, and probably because what you're saying, but at the same time, they're not giving us too much to distract us.
Yeah.
They're just providing some presence to what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Now, Isaac, this episode, we get back to Mirko, which she's kind of losing steam. We get Endeavor finally arriving there to help Crust, Laser, and whatever the name of those other pro heroes are.
Hey, have respect for X-less.
Oh, it's X. Oh. Okay, I don't know what he has more of, but okay, X-less. But Isaac, thoughts? Share.
I mean, what can I say more than, well, I love with some women that never give up.
Yes.
I
love how you have. I put so many things out there, and you're just trying to say Thigh saves live in a different way.
Yeah, at least he changed it up for once. I respect that. Isaac's crush on Mirko has it's a lot. It's a lot. I know everybody feels the same way, but my goodness.
I mean, we have Mirko, we have Midnight, we have Jor, who can't. Who isn't celebrating this fall?
So, about this episode.
Shout out to my boy, Baby Tanko / Tomura Shigaraki / Shimura for doing his best Anya impression. This is clearly the heh face.
Okay, bet. I can see that. I'll allow it. Now, I love Mirko is embracing her inner Leonidas. From, you know what I mean, like,
yes,
she's like, we're gonna die, so I'm just gonna give it all, and if I die, I die. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So I really like that energy that she's just presenting, and it's just so great. Now, I do have to say, I gotta say my biggest enjoyment here, I'm going back to President Mike, and all the scenes with him in dealing with the effects of what this doctor did. I love how much time we're spending with President Mike, which I know it's in the books, but there's the voice acting is so on point here. The animation, the synchronization between him dealing with the thoughts and the disgust, and also having to fulfill his duty, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no way that there's no way that he's not thinking about killing this guy. Like, you can feel that pressure, that sense of urgency of, we need to get rid of this guy in any way, shape, or form that we can, right?
Yeah, we felt that from the beginning of the season, in the first confrontation with the doctor.
Yeah.
I love how we're building on top of that.
Yeah, and also how it connects to the when he punches him. Like, I love how he says, well, I gotta find out if you're the real one. Like,
I also love how Mirko said the same thing when she got to the doctor. She's like, I'll find out when I kick him.
Yep. Like, but I love how he goes back. Like, that's where making my friend cry, and he's talking about Aizawa.
Yes.
And that's like it's so powerful, so great, and so
I just have to ask. Am I the only one that can't take the doctor seriously?
I don't think you're supposed to. Honestly.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I can't remember if it was the previous one or not. But this scene where they had a flashback of him being so proud of the gnome, I'm just. Are we supposed to feel sorry for him or something?
I think he's again. I think it goes back to the once justice thing, right? Where that's his justice. That's his take on the world. That's his worldview.
Yeah.
Like, he only cares about research no matter what it costs anybody.
Fair. I just if
It
that's the case, it wasn't as how should I put it, as well as executed as the Twice Justice.
so here's where I stand on that question. What is the main theme of My Hero Academia? It's dreams, right? Following your dreams, achieving your goals. His dream was to be there at All for One's side. And All for One's dream, I don't know if we've necessarily covered it in depth, but it's to be a comic book villain.
Yes.
So Dr. Garaki, being the prototypical mad scientist, I feel like it falls totally in line with the nonsense that All for One presents to the story. So like him being over the top, him being ridiculous, I feel like is totally validated by that idea. And you're not supposed to feel bad for him. You're supposed to think it's ridiculous. That's why we have him spewing snot when Mirko is chasing him for the last 3 episodes.
Yes, because he's literally playing young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's kind of the angle. But I love how I love how our own Mad Doctor can take another Mad Doctor seriously. So I find that very amusing. Now, the whole thing with President Mike, it was just so powerful. Also because this is the first time that we see, the second time, or at least in this season, it's the first time that we see. Well, actually, it started in season 5 because that's where they introduced the whole backstory with Kurogiri and all that. Yeah. We see President Mike as a person. Because he used to always be seen as an icon or as a as a laughing comedy stunt person, right? But first of all, we were giving President Mike so many shots as a badass, which, by the way, I'm really digging his powers this season.
So you weren't digging the Black Canary-esque powers before?
No, well, again, we haven't seen them in physical battle action like we're seeing them now. Most of the times we see him, he's just trying to shut up a couple of kids. You know what I mean? So I like that new sense of power, which makes me go like, holy crap, I want to follow this guy more. And not only that, I love that you bring Black Canary because the fact that he has DJ Punch, it was hilarious. But yeah, give me more President Mike. And this goes back to the first thing you mentioned, Mike, about spending so much time with the pro heroes. I love the idea that those ones that we've been viewing and knowing for seasons, we're finally seeing them as people.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that. And how that's going to develop to something else forward. Now, Mirko's really hurt. Like, the Nomus have got her, like, really bad. Endeavor has to literally perform emergency wound cauterization, which is it was so crazy. Now I do want to bring this up. I remember reading all of these chapters.
Yes.
And I never felt the Nomus to be a threat. I feel that they've become actual characters in the anime now. And I'm really digging it.
What do you mean by you never felt them as a threat? Because I feel like we saw All Might struggle against the first Nomu.
Well, what I mean is
Endeavor struggle with the first high end, so why weren't they a threat up to this point?
In the sense of they're not just mindless creatures. Like they're actual, like we can act like these ones because they're high end and more developed. We see them like actual people and characters with thoughts and processes, and we've like it's just a different kind of gnome is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So they feel like actual characters. So I'm more scared about what they're capable of, as opposed to just being a target, as opposed to be a random creature that I find in my RPG that the only way I can beat it is by just throwing all the damage at it. Which is technically what every Nomu was before these set of high ends. Am I explaining myself?
I get it.
You know, so I'm digging the fact that I'm scared of them, and they feel like a threat in that sense, where like you can see them thinking, talking, and doing all these things. Like one of them outsmarted Erasure's ability and was able to go somewhere else to be able to use their abilities. Like all those things were to me like, holy crap. Like it feels like monsters that we should be scared of, as opposed to something that I just have to take down.
Yeah.
So I like
get
that
you.
a lot. Now, Mike, are we going to talk about Chiggy?
We've got to talk about Tomura Shigaraki because, boy, that's an amazing vision dreamscape sequence. And I was always fascinated by how they were going to adapt it from the manga because Horikoshi's art for those panels might be his best work in the entire series, honestly, to this day. Still might be his best work. But yeah, like the way we get into Shigaraki's mind and we see it in fragments and we see it in hands and we see flashbacks of his family and how he processed that entire ordeal, I thought was so well done because when you really think about it, that sequence did not last that long. It was a very short segment of the episode, but it felt like something straight out of Mob Psycho, honestly.
Yes.
Which I thought
Yes.
was very, very fascinating and a great direction from Bones there.
Yeah. It also is a visualization of how fractured his mind is.
Yeah.
Because he has literally all these hands pulling him in different directions. But not only that, though, it also creates another parallel with Deku. Did you guys catch it?
Even if I did, I'd rather you explain it for the folks who may not have.
That Tomura sees all for one in Vistage form, just like Deku sees the other users in Vistage form, with that weird smoke around him.
Yeah.
That was one of those visual aids that I saw that was like, okay. Because for the longest time, I think, even like we always knew there were going to be a certain connection between these two characters. Like we knew that was going to happen from the get-go. But I like that we're seeing this more drastic connection. Like it's not just the fact that these are a new villain and a new hero coming up in the world. Now there's a cosmic connection because it's now moving into all for one and one for all. And now we go back to the conversation with the doctor that we finally know. I think it's the first time that's mentioned in detail that what all for one wanted with Tomura Shigaraki, the reason that he's doing all this process is because he's giving him the all for one quirk.
Yeah.
Which, dun dun dun.
And you know, that's why the episode being named Inheritance is so well done, right? Because at first glance, when I clicked on the episode title, I'm like, and again, so this is somebody who already knows what's about to happen. My brain is just like, we're going to get another episode with Deku and learn more about One for All. But no, it's all about Shigaraki inheriting his power. And I just want to talk about this visualization, right? These are the hands.
Yep.
This is the placement of all of those hands throughout the entire series.
Yep.
These are also
100%.
His shackles, right? This is what's been holding him back from becoming the demon lord, essentially, that he's to become. And he's finally free. And
interesting enough, I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we are meant to believe those are his shackles. Or at least that's how he sees it.
Yeah.
Keep going, sorry.
No, that was pretty much the idea of these are the things holding him back to his humanity. Essentially, right?
Yep.
Like his mom asking if he still wants to be a hero. Nana Shimura having her hand on his head trying to pull him back. His dad stopping his progress from him moving forward. I just love how we took his very dumb visual aesthetic of all these hands from the past 100 episodes and we finally gave them purpose and meaning. And I just think it works so well because all for one, he's got the biggest grip of all on Tomura Shigaraki.
Yep.
More than anybody in this picture. But that's something that, like you said, he doesn't realize. And it'll be interesting to see going forward how they tackle that. We again already have an idea, but it's really again well done in the anime how they handle it, and I just can't wait to see them in next episode.
Yeah, it's been so awesome. Isaac, any more on this episode? Shigi's apparent inheritance of the All for One quirk and waking up, because that's again the cliffhangers on this season have been on point, guys.
Yeah.
Like they've been so good.
I mean, for me personally, I was thinking about ID Invaded when they were inside the whole. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They were
Yes.
in the
100%.
machine. I'm not going to go into full detail because I want Mike to see it. But
I appreciate that.
yeah, it reminds me in terms of how psychedelic it is.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Bones, if this is what it takes, if this is the quality we get when they don't do a movie, can we just never do a My Hero movie ever again?
Please elaborate.
No, it's just like the quality of this season as far as the animation goes has just been the highest it's ever been.
Yeah.
And the only difference is that they haven't announced a movie. And so
like they're just dunking all the resources.
But they're all of the top animators, all of the time and energy are just going into the show itself.
Yeah.
As opposed to, we got to make sure World Heroes mission looks great, so we're going to cheap out a bit on My Villain Academia, which you can kind of feel last season.
It's very interesting you say that. And it's like, with this arc, Crisis on Infinite Academia, they just don't need a movie.
That's also fair. I think from here on out, it's going to be kind of hard to squeeze in movies in
Yes.
My Hero Academia.
They were just getting movies out of their system. Yeah, because we ain't doing one for a while.
I mean, but look at this. This is ridiculous, guy. Also, this man is shredded. When was Shigaraki doing crunches?
Yes.
Like, come on.
Yes. He took he
I mean, to be fair, he's been in a tube and all that, so we don't know what's weird. But
So we're going Flash logic. Lightning gives him abs.
Yeah, I mean, this is
one of the greatest lines and one of the best seasons in television.
But I mean, it's one of the least weird things in this series that there are.
No. I had to watch Deku on a beach for like 7 months get his abs. I need to know when Shigaraki was putting in the work.
Yeah, but Deku weren't in a tube of weird water that.
Well, I mean, to be fair though, in the battle with Redestro, we see muscle. Like, he takes care of himself. Keep in mind, he's always wore like a lot of baggy clothes though. So he's had some muscle. And remember, we kind of consider, or at least that's the way it's presented, at least in the anime more than anything, that whole arc where he's trying to conquer Gigantomachia.
Yeah, the
it's supposed to be
months.
Yeah, it's treated like he's training.
Yeah.
So there is precedent for the beautification of Shigaraki.
The glow up this man had over the last season and a half has been probably the biggest in anime history. I'm just gonna say it.
Yes. Okay, guys, are we done with My Hero? Because this conversation has been awesome.
Isaac, you have anything else to add besides Mirko and Shigaraki are both hot?
I mean, while you are absolutely right about that, it's going all in on the crispy science fiction element that we all know and love.
Look at this man! Come on, like seriously, this is the same crusty kid from season 1. You're kidding me?
I mean,
a tale as old as Shiggy.
I mean, we all know what some what's it called in English?
I don't know.
Some substance can do
Yes.
for the body.
That
he got flow.
Seriously.
Yo, we're gonna call this Hustle Shiggy Flow. That's what this is. Hustle Shiggy Flow. That's what this is. Hashtag Hustle Shiggy Flow.
Hashtag. He's inheriting Nana's beauty. It's finally kicking in after all this time. But yeah, I've got nothing else to add on MHA. We can move on.
I only got one more thing to add. Yes, it's happened.
Hustle, Shiggy, Flow.
Okay, guys, we've done it. We have broken down the latest 2 episodes of My Hero Academia. Thank you for joining us, guys. If you have more thoughts of the last 2 episodes of My Hero Academia, make sure you let us know what you thought about these awesome episodes or what you think about the season so far in the comments below. If you love what we do here at the Amateur Otaku Podcast, make sure to subscribe. Click on the like button, share with your friends, click on the bell for notifications so that you do not miss our bi-weekly coverage of My Hero Academia Season 6, because we're doing this again in 2 weeks and coming back again with 2 awesome episodes of My Hero Academia and our thoughts about them. Now, remember, guys, we're doing a Q&A at the end of the episode. So if you have any questions for us, make sure you put them on the comments below, and we will answer them at the end of the episode. We're going to take a quick 60-second break, and we're going to bring in our guest star, Jamie, and we're going to talk some Spy Family, because we had 2 hilarious and awesome and cute episodes of Spy Family. So if you have seen Spy Family, stay tuned and have fun with us as we talk about that. If you're not caught up on Spy Family, this is the right moment to move away. In the meantime, Isaac, where can people find you?
Well, Emblemania, Twitter, and Script, Wobum Entertainment.
Present Mike.
You can find me everywhere at Novice Cinephile, especially youtube.com/Novice Cinephile. We are having a lot of good stuff over at the Chatter After as well, so check that out wherever you get your podcasts.
And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, and you can find the pod at Amateur Otaku Pod. We'll see you in a bit, guys. Peace.